welcome back, guys. Fish
Welcome back to what? It's
the Fish Lyfe podcast.
Welcome back from 8 months ago.
Well, a little bit different direction this time, guys. We ran out of time during the first run, and schedules weren't lining up and all that good stuff. So
let's be real. We got the spring fishing season, and we got obsessed with fishing. That's what happened.
That's also true.
We got to rapping, and that's how it happened.
I didn't mean to leave you with that dope beat to step to.
What I like to say is this is the podcast so nice that we had to start it twice.
That's right.
So this is the Fish Lyfe podcast. This is episode 1 of the second coming of the Fish Lyfe podcast. And we will be bringing this to you every Friday on all of our podcast outlets. So you can catch it on iTunes. Podbean. What are the other ones? Do you have any other ones?
We've got, it'll also be on YouTube.
It'll also be on YouTube, yes. This video, which most of you are finding out about for the first time because that's where we do most of our content. But we'll post it on YouTube, of course, on Friday. But if you want to listen to it through an Audible podcast, Audible, hut, blue, kill, an Audible podcast, an audio formatted podcast, then you can catch that through Podbean and iTunes as well. Right. For sure. So, maybe others.
Right.
Wherever you listen to podcasts, just look for the Fish Lyfe podcast. And the life is spelled with a Y, folks. That's important.
Do you know why?
L-Y-F-E. Because this is the best damn fishing podcast.
That's right.
And the best damn fishing app with Fish Lyfe.
It kind of sets up perfectly for you guys. So you can fire it up Friday on your way to the lake. You can fire it up Saturday while you're on the lake fishing. You can fire it up Sunday after you maybe get your butt kicked on the lake or do really well and you're licking your wounds.
If you're like us, you got your butt kicked.
That's right.
Yeah. But we love it, though. We love it.
Yeah. So we'll keep coming back. So.
All right. Well, hey, look, let the folks know who you are. Because you have been on a few, like with the podcast before, but you were kind of behind the cameras.
Right.
So you're going to be taking more of the reins with this podcast now. You're going to be involved in all of them now. So let the people on the YouTubes and the listening on the Audible format.
So I will be your host. My name is Chris Blackman. Billy and I have known each other for a long time. And pretty much since the beginning of this whole fishing adventure, we'll call it.
Yeah, me and Chris spent a lot of time on the water together. He was there before the guide business, that's for sure. Spent a lot of time with me. And Chris also helps me with the business. If you book guide trips, you'll know Chris. So
yes.
You will have talked to him on the telephone or through a message in the interwebs out there.
Don't believe everything you heard. It's all true.
That's right. Fair point. All right, man. Hey, listen, we got a big night tonight. Who we got?
We got Ben Milliken.
Special guest. A big timer. Listen, some of you guys that are maybe a little bit more old school, you watch a couple instructional videos that we put out, you may not know who this man is. Ben Milliken, he's a good friend of mine. I know you haven't met him yet, but I have. We've actually fished together a couple times. He actually caught his PB one day fishing with me on Lake Fork, so that was cool. But Ben Milliken is a very good fisherman. He's also a very successful social media driven fisherman. He does a lot of YouTube content, Instagram, all those things. And he actually makes his full-time living producing fishing content for social media outlets and does just a phenomenal job. And the two most important things, the cat can fish for real. Like, I've been there with it. He can really fish. And he's just a good guy. Hard-working, great dude.
Can't wait to talk to him. We got a couple things to go over before we get there. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on right now, Billy.
Okay.
All these pre-spawn patterns are starting to kick into full effect. We've got some staging stuff starting to kind of happen on the lake. Yeah,
absolutely. You know, and we will, guys, just so you know, and I want to kind of introduce y'all to what this podcast will be if we work through this first one. And bear with us because this is the first one.
Yes.
And so we're working through it. This is a new deal for us, working together this way on this deal. So we're kind of feeling our way through this. But we will definitely, you know, this channel was built on the backbone of what I built. Everything through YouTube and all my social media stuff has always been built around helping each other catch more and bigger fish. Create a community where we help each other catch more and bigger fish. So we do a lot of instructional content. That's the main focus of what we do. Yeah, we try to do some entertainment stuff. We show you the fish catches the day on the water, tell that story as well. But we do more instructional stuff than anything else for sure. So in this podcast, we will always keep some of that core here. So we will have, you know, our best version of tips and advice and instruction. Fortunate for me, I get to spend, you know, close to 300 days a year on the water. And I want to share that with you guys because my passion and kind of my life's purpose is to help people catch as many more and bigger fish as they can. Now, pre-spawn, most people don't think, you know, right here around Christmas time that it's pre-spawn time. But in Texas, it is indeed pre-spawn time, even on your cold water, non-heated lakes, like Lake Fork, Lake Palestine, like all these lakes, Lake Athens, what don't matter, Lake Top, they're all going into pre-spawn mode.
Right.
And the deal that I always tell people is, if you think about it like this, we always have fish around here that start spawning around Valentine's Day and even sometimes sooner than that. So if they're spawning at Valentine's Day, that means New Year's Day is full on pre-spawn, Jack.
Correct.
Because there's that process takes time, right? Mm-hmm. So some of these fish won't be in pre-spawn until March, and those fish will spawn in late April and May. But the pre-spawn deal is going to take a month and a half, whatever. It takes time for them to go through that cycle. So
hence why you still see bedfish in May sometimes.
Right, we see bedfish all the way to Memorial Day. I've even seen them in early June at times, depending on weather and cycle. So yeah, the pre-spawn cycle is started. The first ones that are gathering up in what I would call pre-spawn groups or schools, mini schools, wolf packs, whatever, it's happening right now. That jig bite that we throw, that creek bend jig bite that we all start around Thanksgiving Day, that's the first edge of a pre-spawn gathering type of situation as those fish migrate into the mouths of those creeks and they set up on those big, deep creek bends. That's kind of the first glimpse of the pre-spawn.
Correct.
And now we've gotten to the point where we have fish that are even moving back 3/4 of the way back into the creeks on creek bends, and then we got even more that are coming into the big, deep creek bends at the mouth. So a lot of moving parts to fishing right now, specifically in this region, a lot of moving parts to fishing right now. And, you know, there's other places across the country where it's just winter. Right. It's just winter. We don't really get a true it's just winter situation here. They're always moving. Yeah. We're not throwing hockey pucks out there, you know. So, yeah, there's that. There's a lot going on. But, you know, we've done a lot of instructional content lately on the pre-spawn deal. My biggest deal, you know, for this podcast as you're listening is, you know, keep an open mind. Those traditional pre-spawn patterns that you guys know about, that everybody talks about in February and early March, lipless crankbait, chatterbait, jig in a creek bend, jerk bait on secondary points and main lake points, like all these things, these patterns that we're used to fishing in February, boys, it's time right now. Yes. Like if you want to get in front of the fish and catch some of the smaller groups but bigger average size fish, now is the time to fish those pre-spawn patterns. And so that would be the main thing. You know, it would take me forever to go into detail on every part of what's going on because it's so complex. But it is a general theory. That's what I would say. Fish your pre-spawn patterns right now way earlier than you think you should.
See, like today, for example, I was on a small East Texas lake.
Yeah.
Pre-fishing for a tournament we got in a couple weeks. We were graphing fish, creek bend type situation, main lake point. Couldn't get them to bite.
Okay.
The fish we were catching were in 7 foot of water. So what that tells me is you got two different sets of fish that we found doing completely separate things, and that's fine. Maybe
those fish that were more main lake driven on your graph, they might be fresher to that spot and not really grouped up and competitive yet.
Correct.
But those fish that have been there longer and progressed a little more are a little bit more grouped up, a little bit more competitive. Because when fish get in a group, they get competitive.
Correct.
That's why, you know, we're always looking for either giants or we're looking for groups because...
You ever heard the term get them fired up?
It's pretty obvious we want to catch the giants. Like we get that part. But then the groups is the deal. Because when you find a group of fish, it's a lot easier to get them to bite.
Correct. Do you ever take... So these pre-spawn patterns, do you ever take the fish that you're catching in the pre-spawn and kind of think about, okay, this is basically what I can expect the first wave of the spawn. This is the, you know, the caliber of fish I'm going to be catching. Do you ever put it together like that?
Yeah. No, well, you definitely kind of follow them in and follow them out even. Like even beyond, even more than that. Like
even when they're replenishing all the time.
Yeah, so, but that leading edge group is the one that I want to try and get on that leading edge group. And the reason I do is because for whatever reason, don't get me wrong, like the biggest fish of the year, or the biggest spawning fish of the year the last 2 years has come for me in April. But I do know that in general, the average size of the bass that spawn early in the cycle tends to be some of the biggest groups, the biggest size per fish. So I like to get on that leading edge for multiple reasons, right? That leading edge group has bigger fish in it, in my opinion, and also like you experienced today.
Right.
The ones that have been there longer and grouped up better and moving further along in the cold time of year, they're more apt to bite more aggressively and in more numbers. So I'm always looking for that leading edge group, and I literally will try to follow that group as it progresses in. And yes, I'm well aware that this class of fish, like if I'm going into a creek, Birch Creek, and I'm following some pre-spawn creek channel deals back into Birch Creek, some grass flat points, and I'm doing all my pre-spawn stuff that we do. I'm well aware that when I follow them fish in the double branch, that's the fish I'm catching in the back of double branch when they get on that bed.
Right.
Yes, that is very much a thing. Now, it's a moving puzzle, right? Like there's always more fish coming in and out.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll do dumb things for dumb reasons because they're fish.
A lot of factors.
But in general, yeah, if you find you a group of good ones in a creek channel and you stay on them and follow them back throughout the creek channel, when they get on beds, it's going to be them same type of good ones that are going to be spawning in that area. Now, they will disperse. Man, it's a complex deal. You know, it's a really complex deal. We'll talk more about what they do when they spawn later in the game. Okay. Yeah. Because I'm fixing to start going, and we ain't going. It's going to be all night. At some point, we're supposed to call Ben Milliken. So,
right.
You know.
So, okay, that kind of transitions well into, you know, like the map study side of things and how to break down new water and stuff like that. So, and again, I'm going to use what I experienced today as an example because it's fresh on my mind and it's very much in tune with what we're trying to get at here.
Yeah.
So I have not been to said lake in several years.
Okay.
I know a lot about the lake.
Right.
But when you haven't been there in a while, you kind of show up going, okay, what mode are we in?
You got to start figuring it out as you go. Yeah.
And so what I did last night was I went through and I'm thinking, okay, pre-spawn's here. It's happening right now. So these are the areas that I'm going to target and this is what I'm looking for. And so I make myself bullet points. Now, there's 10 ways to skin a cat. I get it. What's kind of the way you break down a brand new lake or maybe a lake you haven't been to in a while as far as, I know you do map study because you and I have talked Google Earth millions of times.
Yeah.
Even about Lake Fork, a lake that we fish a lot. So when you're going, I guess what I'm trying to say is whenever you know what pattern should be going on, what key things are you looking for when you're doing your map study before you show up to the lake and just go get them?
Well, the first part of that is where I'll start. And this is another big, complex question. So I'm going to do the best I can to make it nice and tight for tonight for the podcast. But that's a very complex question. And it starts with what is the seasonal pattern?
Right.
What should the seasonal pattern be? So the first thing I'm going to study is not even going to be map study. If I'm going to a new body of water, I'm going to study recent tournament results. If it's a body of water that has free, like if I'm going down to Rayburn, I'm going to study recent tournament results, look at the weights that are coming in, try to find whatever information I can on what type of patterns those guys or anything, read every report, everything I can on that body of water to try and determine what seasonal pattern are these fishing. I know from my general knowledge base of fishing over the years what it should be, but there may be a variance. The water temps may be extremely warm, extremely cool, whatever, depending on warming trends. So I'm going to try to do as much research about what's happening on that body of water seasonal pattern-wise before I even open a map. Okay. And then once you establish that, when you open the map, it's a whole different deal. So I use two big things for me. I use the Navionics web app. It shows me contour lines on home, and I can study them on my computer. And I use Google Earth. Yes, I use Google Earth a lot. Google Earth, you can find grass. You can find, at low lake levels, you can find all kinds of stuff on Google Earth,
Targets,
right? Yeah. Yes, creek channel bends that aren't on the map, and, just a road bed in the back of a creek that doesn't show on your map because it's just a county road or whatever, like all kinds of stuff you can find on Google Earth. So I spend a lot of time studying Google Earth, and I spend a lot of time studying Navionics web app with contour lines, even when I'm fishing shallow water. Yes, it doesn't matter if I'm fishing this much water. When I'm prepping to go to a lake, I got to know the contour lines,
right?
Because if it's the time we're coming up on pre-spawn, and it's a warming trend is a possibility, okay, where fish are maybe moving back, well, I got to know because those areas that have the bigger expanses of shallow, flat water, real skinny, flat, big, broad areas, big bays, versus steeper sloping creek channel banks and narrower creeks that have deeper banks, well, they're going to spawn first in the flat areas because that's going to be less water volume and it's going to warm up sooner. So I need my contour lines even in dirt shallow water when we're talking about seasonal patterns to kind of clue me into the area. So the first thing I'm going to do is determine a seasonal pattern. And it's hard for me to explain all this without giving you just a for instance. So let's take right now.
Okay. Right
now, this week, we have a warming trend coming.
Correct.
We have pre-spawn fish that are 3/4 of the way back in the creek already in our area. We know that. That's the seasonal pattern that we've established is fishing's a little bit tough. Guys aren't really catching big bags because they're not around here right now. We are catching some good fish now and then. We are having some good days, but consistently day in, day out, it's just a little tough. So I found that out through my research. I found out the seasonal pattern, found out what's going on. I've got a warming trend coming, so that means these fish are going to really push out of the creek channels and up on the flats. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my map study, and I'm going to look for grass. Because if they're going to get out of a creek and on a flat, I want the ones that have the most grass.
Right.
That's what I want. Grass is going to hold more bait. It's going to hold more fish. It's going to hold warmth. It's going to provide oxygen. Grass is a major, major X factor. In fact, in general, no matter what the seasonal pattern is, the first thing you need to know about a lake when you start looking at maps
does it
have grass?
I agree.
So that's the first thing that I'm going to look at. I'm going to go to Google Earth. I'm going to look for grass. If I find grass, now I'm going to turn on Navionics web app and start developing a plan. Right now, I would look for areas because they're not all the way back, and I know that. Mm-hmm. Okay, and they're not going to get there in a week. I'm going to look for areas that have good creek channels running in them with good contour lines on the creek channels, and I'm going to look for areas where that creek channel swings up against the bank and kicks off and creates a flat adjacent to that creek channel bend. So this is something I would look for right now based on seasonal patterns. There's so many little details. The biggest deal is to consume all the educational content that you can. Take the advice. Don't take it for gospel. Take it, practical application it on your own, and then go see, once you've kind of established these things, like what I'm looking for right now is very specific. It's very, very specific. I'm looking for grass, and within that grass, I'm looking for a creek channel bend close to a bank that kicks off and creates a little flat adjacent to the creek. That's the type of area that over this next week, those fish are going to pull out of that creek bend, get up on that flat because the sun feels good, the bait fish are up there, and they're going to feed up there, and they're going to feed good up there. Yes. And so if I can find one of those flats that's holding bait and fish, I'm going to catch the fire out of them. And I'm going to find as many of those areas that match that description on that lake as I can. And then when I get to that lake, I'm going to start running all of them, Jack.
Match a hatch. Mm-hmm. Rock and roll.
I kind of rambled through that. I hope I explained it clearly.
No, that was good. Because you basically answered the only other question I had for that was, how do you eliminate unproductive water? Well, you just answered that in a roundabout way.
Yeah, I get asked quite a bit, how long do you give it in an area? And there's not, these are all, really big questions. There's no easy button to this deal.
Absolutely not.
There's no easy button to fishing whatsoever. I mean, the best in the world struggle all the time. It's real. It's real. Everybody likes to look at the Bassmasters tournament that was on Lake Fork and I caught 100 and whatever pounds.
Yeah, there was also guys that caught 2 fish a day. They
whacked them. Look below the bottom 10.
Yeah. There was also guys that didn't catch a
limit. And these are some of the best fishermen on planet Earth.
Correct.
And they struggled.
Correct.
On one of the best lakes on planet Earth.
I used to explain it to people all the time. They'd sit there and they'd watch it Sunday morning. They'd watch the Classic or whatever it was, and all they show you is the fish catches.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's not that easy, guys.
They don't show you old boy that's back there kicking his dog and his camera guy and everything else.
They don't show you the 3 hours between fish catches or whatever the case may be. You might roll up and catch 5 in a row.
Well, they dang sure don't show you the guy that got cut on Friday.
Correct.
Because he's back home
playing golf,
beating up on his kids and stuff. Because he's mad.
Playing wiffle ball.
Yeah, something like that.
So, yeah, I mean.
But, yeah, the deal about when to leave an area is, the biggest thing on that is it's all about your confidence in that said pattern. Like, right now, if I go to Lake Fork, I'm going to give them dang creek bends on my jig a pretty good long while until I get a warming trend, then I'll change quicker. But, if I'm going to Lake Fork tomorrow morning before this warming trend comes in, I'm going to fish that jig and them creek bends, and I'm going to stay in them. I'm pretty much going to be committed to doing that all day.
Yeah.
I will fish, a dozen creek bends throughout the day tomorrow and really dig in and go real slow tomorrow. Because I have a lot of confidence in that pattern and the weather, and it's what makes sense. Now, a couple more warming days, I may go check some of them creek bends, especially my shallower ones. Yeah. But I'll also be ready to pull that old cranking bait out, and chatterbait and all that stuff. So,
see, my biggest deal has always been, I know, you will, I don't know if this is going to make sense. It makes sense to me. You will consciously know when it's time to leave an area.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It's about your confidence and trusting your instincts. Now, the more experience you get on the water, the better your instincts will get.
Correct.
Your instincts will lie to you a lot if when you're relatively inexperienced.
Right.
Or if you're on like if I was to go, one area that I've never fished is the north, like the mid-north, like Michigan, all that, the smallmouth lakes, the natural glacier lake. If I was to go up there, my instincts would suck.
Yeah, I'd
be lost in the sauce. I wouldn't know what way it was up. But I would still trust my instincts. And I might get my butt kicked for a while, but eventually I'll figure out some things that work for me, and I'll be able to expand them on those. And that's the deal.
At the end of the day, a fish is a fish is a fish.
Yeah.
They all relate to similar.
They do. Well, a bass is a bass is a bass. And he'll do the same thing in a pond, a river, a creek that he will in a lake when he's given the same conditions.
Correct.
The deal is, if your instincts have been built around fishing in the south area where we are now, well, then those fish are going to have different conditions than fish in a glacier lake. Right. So your instincts aren't going to be as sharp. You're not going to know as many of the answers.
Right. You don't have as many go-to.
Right. Yeah. So you have to train your instincts. But the big deal is being confident. The one thing that I would say that you definitely have to do, and we're rambling about this topic, I know, but the big deal is being extremely confident in your decision-making process, and even like kind of fake it till you make it deal. Like, I hate that saying, but it's kind of a thing in fishing. Like, when you make a decision and you decide that, like, if you're thinking in your head that you need to go do something else, rack that trolling motor and go do it, and do not look back. Don't think about it again. Go do what you think you might need to do. Whatever's in your head, go do it, even if it is the process of elimination and you realize that you were wrong. Okay, now once you realize you're wrong, now you can go back to what you were doing before if you want to. But when you if you move from A to B, you don't think about A till B is gone.
That's right.
You got to go do it.
There's a commercial that keeps playing in my head when we're talking about this, and it's a Randy Howe commercial. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. I just had this overwhelming urge to turn back around.
Well, bro, story time.
Yeah.
One of the best days that we ever shared on the water sucked real bad. Like, we got our teeth kicked in all day long, like from morning to like the last hour before dark, and we were going home, Jack.
Yes.
And we were driving down the boat lane at 60 miles an hour, and I went, whoop. And you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, we need to just go check and see. I think what I was doing, if I remember this correctly, this is a lot of years ago.
I think you were looking for the grass.
I said, I want to go see if there's grass growing in that pocket again yet.
Yes.
And we went over there to check some grass, and sure enough, there was grass there. And then we caught like 5 or 6 fish, all over 6 pounds.
Yeah.
Quite like a 30-pound bag. Like,
yeah.
And so
in less than an hour.
Listen, if something pops in your head, go do it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
If your instincts are telling you something, go do it. And that's, a 30-minute talk on trust your instincts is all we had to say there, but that's kind of what we do.
Right.
We ramble.
That's how it works.
All right, man. Hey, I think it's about time. Let's give old Benny Boo a call.
Let's do it.
See what he's up to. Check in on him this evening.
You think he's thinking about fishing? I'll be willing to bet.
I'm going to tell you, he probably thinking about something weird, if I'm being honest. Man, we really appreciate you guys that are listening to this and that have got through this first 20 minutes or whatever it's been. Hey, you guys rock the house, man, because it's got to be a hard listen listening to these two coopers.
I guarantee you.
We really, really, really are passionate about fishing, and we love doing it. All right, let's give a real fisherman a call. We're going to bring somebody on here where y'all can actually listen to somebody that knows what he's doing. Mr. Milliken.
What's going on, Billy? How we doing, man?
Man, I'm recording if I'm calling you Mr. Milliken.
Deal. I like it.
Hey, I've got my buddy Chris here, Chris Blackman. He's helping me with the podcast hosting duties.
Beautiful. What's up, Chris?
How are you?
I'm doing good, man.
So
really good.
We're just going to kind of jump right into it and wing it. I think Chris has got some stuff. We did a few podcasts like last year, and then we kind of quit for time constraints, but we're committed. Like,
yes,
we're all in on the podcast this time, so we're doing it going forward. This is episode 1. So first, before we get into this, thank you for joining us on the episode 1 of our podcast, man. We really appreciate it.
I feel like it's an honor that I'm on the inaugural episode. I like this.
Hey, you made it.
I didn't even know.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if you know this, but you've officially made it now, bro.
Finally. I finally have. I'm going to change like my Instagram to being the first on this podcast ever. What are you guys calling it?
This is the Fish Lyfe podcast.
Fish Lyfe podcast.
Yeah, that's kind of like
first episode. I'm going to put on my Instagram right now.
I mean, you sell like 1 or 2 T-shirts with like MFer on it or something like that. But these Fish Lyfe shirts that we sell, like we sell 1 million of them. I don't know if you know that or not, but
that's what I like to hear.
This will get you a blue check mark on your Twitter.
Now we're talking.
That's great. So you being on the first episode, our first calling guest, we have a couple questions lined up that we're going to ask every guest that ever comes on this podcast. So you get to break this in, so please don't disappoint.
Deal.
All right. So the first question, and this is probably the most important question of the night. Are you ready for this?
I'm all in. Let's go.
Tupac or Biggie?
Tupac.
Come on.
My man.
Come on.
It's a clean sweep in this house, son.
Come on.
Like, all my friends, we're all the same. Tupac.
All right.
All right, give him the next one because I like this one.
All right, question number 2. If you didn't fish for a living, what would you be doing?
That wasn't supposed to be question number 2.
Yeah, it was.
No, the hairstyle. Man, this is just a mess of a podcast.
Well, there were supposed to be 3 questions.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Ask it. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop interrupting. Go ahead.
So if you didn't fish for a living, what would you be doing?
I'd be doing what all the other guys in the fishing YouTube industry do. I'd be an actor. No, I'm just kidding. I'd probably be doing what I did before, which is not fun. I was doing something for my degree that I got in college, which was inspecting commercial buildings for asbestos and lead paint. That's probably what I would be doing, which sounds like makes me want to throw up about right now.
I think I'd rather just get paid to get kicked in the nuts all day, honestly.
Yeah, that's about what it was like.
Yeah.
What's the life expectancy of somebody that does that?
Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. You're looking for things that kill people.
I got a good 2 or 3 more years left in me at least.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about it.
But I think your first response, I mean, with your boyish good looks, the whole acting thing, that's like a real deal for you. Like me, I got no choice. There's no chance. But you, that's a real thing.
Oh no, I was just throwing some shade right there. I'm a terrible actor, and
no, I'm aware. I'm just trying to tell you.
I'm like you, man. I'm not an actor that decided to pick up fishing. I'm a fisherman that I decided to buy a camera. Now it's kind of escalated into this shit.
I'm gonna one up you. I didn't even buy the camera I started with. This guy gave me one and said you got to start recording all this crazy fishing stuff.
Boom.
Broadway's in shambles. Give the people what they want.
So I literally have to pay this guy like 25% of everything I make for the rest of my life. All right, hit him with my favorite question. This one's my favorite.
Right, here's a good one. If you could bring back a hairstyle, what hairstyle would you bring back?
Oh man, that's tough. See, I have terrible hair. My hair is just naturally stupid, and so I shave my head. So I'm not much of a hair connoisseur, man, but I kind of, just to make it like awkward and retro, something when I was growing up, I know you guys are probably 30, 40 years older than I am, but when I was growing up, I'm just kidding. When I was growing up, it was like the 90s bowl cut.
The chili bowl! Yes!
They talk about how everything, is retro and comes back in style. I just don't ever see the 90s bowl cut coming back, but I would love if it did. I
don't know that one is coming back, but now, Ben, how old are you?
I'm 30.
You're the same age as me.
Yeah, you're the same age as Chris. I'm 36, so this wouldn't have been junior high for you, obviously, but I remember being in junior high, and I would not cut my hair like that. No desire to wear my hair like that, thank God. But, like, if you didn't wear your hair like that, you got made fun of.
Right.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, no, I was right there. And to be honest, like, I hate to admit this, I don't think I even told anyone this before, but when I was younger, at probably junior high age or so, I decided that I wanted to bleach my hair, and my parents would not let me. My parents are pretty strict. They're like, you will not be doing that.
Bleach the tips.
And I was like, no, it's cool. There's kids doing it, even if it's just the top. And so
like, just the tips, Mom. Just the tips, Mom. Just the tips.
Just the top, Mom. Or like frost them or something. And I thought it'd be so cool, and I never ever did it. And that's maybe the thing I thank my mom and dad for more than anything these days. Is that they did not let me embarrass myself and do that.
There's not any little part of you that someday when you finally turn the camera off wants to grow your hair out and bleach the tips again?
I might grow it out. I don't know about dyeing it, though.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Well, there's something to be said about a man that shaves his head, too. That means you got a perfectly shaped head. That's what I always used to tell people. I used to shave my head all the time. So.
I have a decently shaped head,
you got
but it's
ugly.
It's big. It's really big.
Really big. Yeah, ugly hair, pretty head. That works.
I mean,
I like it.
You got that going for you. Yeah. I've got both, so I cut my hair really short, but I don't want to show them my head. So.
Right, so you wear a hat every day.
Yeah.
Me. I like
it. Yeah, another good reason that I'm in the fishing industry, because I'm freaking ugly.
Exactly.
All right, so that was good.
Are we going to like actual fishing questions now?
Yeah.
Okay,
we're fixing to move on.
Bud, and I know you're on time constraints, so when you get to where you need to run out of time, you just let us know at any time, buddy.
Okay, no problem, guys.
Okay, let's kind of start. let's start with how did you accomplish turning your fishing dream into a reality? Like, what steps kind of led you to where you're at now?
That's a pretty good question there.
That is. It's something that I always like. I think that's so many people's dream, and that's something. The more I ingrain myself into this, it seems like that's what everyone wants that watches and stuff. But I don't think enough people actually try to give it a go as much as I did. But I guess the thing that did it for me was I fished with another guy that makes YouTube videos full time a few times. It was just kind of a random connection through talking to people and networking, and fished with him just casually a few times, and not for any reason other than he's like, "Hey, I make fishing videos, and you seem to be a good fisherman." And I'm like, "Okay, so let's go fish." And he hopped on my boat, and we did some fishing together. And I was like, "Why has this guy got a camera on? What's going on back there?" And then I was like, "Hey, man, just let me know when you post that video. Like, I want to see what this is all about." Because of course I knew about YouTube. Everyone knows about YouTube since it'd been around forever. This is probably 3 or 4 years ago. And so I watched a video, and then I looked back a couple days later, it's got 20, 30,000 views. It's like, holy shit, this is crazy. And didn't really think a ton of it, but I was like, man, he's got a big following, whatever. And then start looking into it and thinking about it more, and fished with him again on kind of a longer road trip. We went 3 or 4 hours away and started talking to him and started to learn the business side of it. And I was like, damn, there's no one that's actually doing this that knows anything about fishing. I should maybe try to give this thing a whirl here and see where it goes. And so I started filming, and of course, just absolutely terrible on camera. Had all these ideas in my head just based on, everyone that fishes bullshits with other fishermen and talks fishing and stuff. And so you got these ideas, and you get a camera in front of your face, you just can't even speak. But kind of got a little bit better over time and everything. And then I was making 1 or 2 videos a week doing that. And then I told my wife was really the biggest help. To be honest, she was a great supporter, because I was working 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. And I mean, it was spring, early spring here in Nebraska, and we basically have 0 fishing opportunities, open water, until March or April. And so I was driving out of the Ozarks and stuff, and fishing all day on the weekends and stuff like that, just to get 2 videos a week and stuff. And finally, I got to the point where it started really taking off. I had a couple of videos take off a little bit. I was like, shit, I'm going to give it a go. And so I quit my job and got to the point where I wasn't making shit at my old job, but I got to the point where I was making enough that it made sense. And then once I went full time with it, I luckily got in pretty early, before now, when everyone has a YouTube fishing channel. And it helped a lot, and it started taking off, and I guess here I am today.
Yeah, I know. I remember, and I think I was, I am a little bit older than you. I'm about 6, 7 years older than you, Ben, and it was a weird deal for me because, I'm kind of one of the last ones that grew up with no smartphones, no social media. Like, we didn't have any of that till after I was well into being an adult. And I remember we actually started our channels almost at the same time.
No kidding.
I had a channel that I'd posted a couple like highlight videos from Guide Trip from like a year ago before that. But when I actually started making weekly content, it was literally like within a month or so that I saw you start making content every week. And you actually, I didn't even know, I was so ignorant to, like, I don't even know anything about technology at this point, like nothing. It was all I could do to use GoPro Studio to put clips together and make it actually be a video,
Man, GoPro Studio was the worst.
It was real bad, but it wasn't complicated. And that worked for me because I was real dumb when it came to that. But you actually sent me a message on YouTube. I had no idea that you could get messages on YouTube. And
Dude, back in the YouTube best messaging days, for sure.
I didn't even read your message till well after you sent it. And then once I read it, I tried to contact you, and we got in touch. And we just never could get together for filming purposes in the early days. But that was in the very, very beginning of both of our deals. And to your credit, you have taken off like a rocket and just crushed it in this world. And, I have done what I set out to do, which is to build a business based off of the marketing program. I never went into the YouTube deal trying to do the YouTube deal as a living.
Of course.
And I'm going to be honest with you, I wish that I would have, because I was in it early enough that I could have feasibly done it possibly, but I never went at it kind of in that direction. But you did, and you have just crushed it, man. It's been awesome. It's been awesome to watch a lot of guys that I've known that have done really well in this, and you're certainly no exception. It's been really fun to watch you guys. Kind of like it. I'm sure some people probably say the same thing about me. I guess I'm being kind of cocky about that. People probably say the same thing about my guiding career. Like Chris, you would probably say the same thing about my guiding career because you knew me well before that. We fished together and all that. We were buddies. And you got to see this thing go from who's Billy Lawson to now, fortunately for me, I'm a really busy booked guide, which is what I wanted to do. So It's been a fun ride, man. And so, whether it's growing a social media platform that provides a living for you like yours is, or whether it's growing a business that is marketed and the business that you receive is driven through the social media marketing, kind of that's the beautiful thing is whatever people want to do, they can do now.
Right.
You don't have to ask anybody's permission. You just got to be good enough at it. Yeah.
That's a cool thing. Yeah, it's kind of like what I was talking about, how everyone wants to take that step and make that dream come true. And the really great thing is there's more opportunity than ever. And I really appreciate what you said about watching me grow and everything. And the same goes out to you, man. It's been awesome watching you grow. And to be honest, man, if I lived in a different part of the country, I probably would have tried to go the same route that you guys did with it. Because I don't have a lake like over 1,000 acres, literally within like 3 hours of me.
Right.
And so the guiding thing was never even like there's literally 0 guides within 3 hours of me.
Yeah.
Like that was never even an option for me or a thought. But I think I would have probably tried to go the same route if I would have been presented with the same type of fisheries and stuff around me.
Absolutely, man.
Isn't it crazy to think that the industry itself can work for you in so many different ways and so many different facets? I mean, it's interesting. And, it is really cool. And, the one thing that I've really always appreciated about Ben's channel and listen, I've made relationships with several guys that have YouTube channels, and I'm not knocking anybody for doing what they do to make this thing work for them. At the end of the day, if they get to go be in the outdoors and go fishing or whatever it is they want to do and provide a living for them and their family, I'm happy for them. If that makes them happy, I'm happy for them, right? Like, don't knock anything. But I will say one thing that I've really appreciated about your content, Ben, is that at the core, it has always remained about fishing first. It hasn't been about chasing. Do you go do videos that are around trending topics at times? Of course you do. This is your job. But within that trending topic, you make sure that fits a fishing thing. Your deal has always been about fishing first and like quality fishing, like fishing the way that traditional bass fishing culture tells you you're supposed to fish, right?
Of course.
On a boat or, trying to taking on the challenge of figuring out the big swim bait bite like you love to do. Or, primarily fishing for bass on big lakes when you are fortunate enough to have access to a boat like we do. It's not that I have anything against pond fishing. I promise you, if I wasn't able to get a boat, I'd be a pond fishing fool. But as you progress in the sport, you're supposed to take on that challenge, not go fish ponds because it's easy to make a video and you get clicks. And you don't do that, and I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, that's cool, man. I appreciate you saying that. That's exactly what I try to portray, and I'm glad that someone that has a lot of knowledge of the game understands that.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for a controversial one?
Here we go.
Let it rip.
Ben lives on the controversy line.
All right.
I'm not afraid to tackle it. I got a piece of content that's going to come out that's going to stir things up a hair a lot. So.
All right. Well, I'm fixing to ask you about BASS versus BPT.
The ASS?
Bassmasters versus the MLF Tour.
I hear you. What about it?
What's your thoughts on it? It's a huge uproar right now. Well, the little fish deal versus the 5 fish deal and, everything. It's just a huge
oh, man. Yeah, totally. So I'm a big tournament guy. Like, I love tournament fishing forever. That's how I got started, and that's what I learned everything that I know from is fishing tournaments and, of course, preparing to fish tournaments and stuff and mastering my craft to catch fish tournaments. And to be completely honest, like there's no substitute for a 5 bass limit. That is my deal, not the Major League Fishing format. And the thing that sucks is like Major League Fishing was so cool when it came on the market. And to me, the coolest thing about it was, and I was on Kevin Baxter's podcast the other day, and we talked about the same thing. But the coolest thing about this was when they went to the lake, they didn't know what lake they were going to, and they were all in the same boat.
Yes.
And when they took that away and they made it as commercialized as they did when they did this tour, it lost its cool factor for me completely. And on top of that, it's way too long of an event. It's not made well for the fans, and the only reason the sport exists is because of the fans, because of the guys like you and I started out 20 years ago, the 10-year-olds that were obsessed with fishing and just were like, how the hell am I going to catch one more fish today?
Chris is still like a 10-year-old that's obsessed with fishing.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
Me too. I'm obsessed with it still.
I'm still a huge fishing fan.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, and I'll put it best. I talked to a guy, I fished with a dude that was on the FLW tour for a long time. He's had a lot of success. And now he's going to fish the Elite Series. Fished him a couple months ago, and he's like, when they set this MLF thing up, it's turned out they set it up to be a reality television show. That's what they want to market it as, because they're moving it to a different audience. They're trying to spread the sport to a non-endemic audience, which is great. That's what you want. But they're trying to portray it as a reality show, and he's like, every single reality show fails in the end, even real world, even everything.
Yes.
And
yes.
We're not trying to make our sport failure in 5 years or 10 years or 1 year. And it is what it is. It's exactly what I said it was, and I called it out from the beginning. I don't want to give myself too much credit. It's a bunch of rich old white dudes that tried to make more money for themselves by exploiting whatever they could for other rich old white dudes to do the same thing. And that's, when it comes down to it, that's my opinion. That's all it is. Yeah. And it's I've heard other things from other people that are very in tune with the situation, where there's a lot of misunderstanding about who actually owns everything. And people that joined the tour didn't know who owned it, even though they were the biggest cheerleaders of it, and try to get people to switch over. And it's a big disaster, and it really sucks that FLW stooped that low, but not really surprised. But they're all a part of it now, and now you see guys trying to get out of FLW Tour because it doesn't exist anymore and switch over to Fishing Open so they qualify for the elites. It's just crazy.
I don't like to put an opinion on something that I'm not educated about, and I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of stay in my lane, and I go fishing every day, and I watch the tournaments when they come on TV because I'm a fan. But I'm not really educated on the inner workings of it, and we could have this a whole nother deal. We'll have to do on another podcast. But the financial benefits of trying to tournament fish for a living have always been it's stupid. It's literally flat out one of the stupidest things you can do is try to fish tournaments for a living. It's dumb. Yep. It's not even a real profession unless you're like 20th in the world or higher, basically, traditionally. And so I knew I was never going to be in that. Like I just knew I wasn't going that route. There's other ways to make a living in the fishing industry, guiding, whatever. That's what I'm going to do. Much more stable for my family, blah, blah, blah. So I didn't pay attention to the inner workings. So I don't want to speak on that. I hear a lot from people that I know, like yourself, like some other guys that are smart and involved, and I'm hearing a lot of the same things. I don't want to put my opinion or my spin on that, but I will tell you this. From a TV show product, as a fan watching it, what you alluded to earlier, when you don't know what lake you're going to, you're all restricted on equipment, and it's a deal. That was a cool off-take of tournament fishing, unique tournament fishing deal. It was very fun to watch, and the buzzer beater, every fish counts format works very well for that situation. It really does. When you've got a multi-day tournament where the best guys in the world are pre-fishing for it, counting every fish is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it is.
It makes no sense.
But what you said there is the best thing about it, too, that format, the one props I'll give them. with tournament fishing professionally, it makes zero sense. When they switch to the no entry fee, that makes all the sense in the world, and that's a great thing.
Listen, that's one thing that I do, and I don't want to get into, because this is a long topic. We'll have to do an entire podcast on this one day, but I don't want anybody to think that the Bassmasters is the good guy here, because they're the reason this happened in the beginning.
For sure.
They're not the good guy either, and there's a whole lot we can get into on that. But, just from a tournament viewing standpoint, you've got now they air the shows, and I'll be honest with you, I've watched every episode of Bassmasters that has ever aired since I've been alive, and that is the truth. I went back and watched the ones that aired when I was a little kid, when I got older, when they posted them online and stuff, But I've seen all of them. I watched, I think it was 3 or 4 episodes of the Bass Pro Tour, and I stopped watching. When you watch a Bassmasters Elite Series event, you've got a 1-hour episode. You've got a 4-day event. They start the show off telling you the story of the first few days. Mm-hmm. And it's a brief story, but they give you the story of the first few days.
Show you a couple bags.
Then you've got 35, 40, 45 minutes of the final day with the top 10.
You got it.
Now I turn on Bass Pro Tour. There's been 5 days of fishing leading up to this final day, right? There's been 80 anglers, 5 days of fishing there. Tons of buzzer beater drama filling. I mean, Andy Montgomery, I think it was Andy Montgomery, caught a 9-pounder to beat the buzzer on Conroe. Mm-hmm. Didn't even make the TV show, because the only thing that's on the TV show is 8 damn guys, and it's a 2-hour show.
Right.
It's painful to get through that.
I mean, it's
not good.
Not good.
There's one snippet I remember watching in one of the BPT events where you sit there and watch Edwin Evers catch a 1-pounder every single cast for 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's the Mississippi River one. That was the coolest. That was the coolest video of the entire year.
I agree.
Still sucked.
That was the highlight.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
Bro, that's kind of boring. Yeah.
That was the climax of BPT for me.
And it was still a letdown.
And it was still dude, I've done that before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like last night, I watched Paul Lice, the Lake Falcon. I watched that tournament.
You can watch that one a lot of times.
But I'm just saying, how can you compare that to
you can't.
People catching 1-pounders?
On the other hand, let's look at the MLF Cup. We're talking about the MLF Cup, right? When they were doing hey, you don't know what lake or what part of the lake or blah, blah, blah.
I'm cool with that.
One of the best fishing moments I've ever seen was when they're fishing a final of the Cup, the MLF Cup, and they were fishing and they were restricted to that one section of the lake like they're supposed to be on this Florida lake. I don't remember what Florida lake it was. It was a Florida lake. And there was this feeder creek at the north end of this Florida lake. And it wasn't in the zone they were fishing on championship day. And between the second and third period, they opened the entire lake up to the field for the last period of the championship day. And Edwin Evers, who was way behind Ish Monroe, runs up to that creek, goes in there and finds a school of fish and starts whacking them every cast, and he's chasing down Ish, and Ish is freaking out, losing his mind. Mm-hmm. And about 10 minutes before the buzzer rings, Edwin passes him and then catches another one and gets way ahead of him. And literally Ish is like throwing his rods in the water. That's drama. That's storytelling.
Yeah, for sure.
And Ben, you know this as well as anybody does on the planet Earth right now. At the end of the day, you got to tell the story, man. You got to tell the story, no matter what you're doing. If there's content you're trying to get people to consume, there has to be a story that holds their attention and gives them a climax that they can be excited about and want to come back again. The Edwin Evers deal back in the day on the Cup, that was a great dramatic story that held your attention and brought you back. The Edwin Evers deal on the Red Crest was boring.
Yep, totally.
It's just what it is. Yeah. I think we all agree on this. We're like arguing with each other and we agree on everything we're saying.
No, I agree with you, and let me tell you why.
No, it's funny though. It's cool though. Some random dude from Omaha, Nebraska, and some dudes from Texas that are full-time guides and stuff. We got the exact same opinion on it. So it's got to be a lot of other people as well.
Another beautiful thing about social media, and I dig it because we do live streams every week, and like I had somebody on from Australia, I've had Puerto Rico, and every week there's always people from all across the country, and we're sitting here talking to each other about fishing, trying to give each other fishing tips and advice, and just laughing, and just people that are passionate about this sport, sharing it with each other. And for most of my life growing up, that was never anything that was even close to possible. It's so cool, man. It's so cool.
Correct. It's amazing.
It's just talking about fishing in general is one of the coolest things.
It's fun.
Fun. I remember back in the day, Billy and I used to spend 2 hours a night on the phone just talking fishing. Yeah. And I've got several other buddies I did the same with, my tournament partner, and it's just incredible how much the sport's grown.
We're just all really weird. That's the problem.
Well, so I'm gonna leave
That's a good thing though. That's why we can do what we do for a living, because there's so many people that are talking about it that much more and no one really realized how much so many people can be connected by something that's so interesting and great.
Now, Ben, I know you probably need to get going here pretty soon, but before you go, because this will be airing on Friday when me and you meet up. So that's when the viewers that are watching this and hearing this, they're going to be hearing this as me and you are fishing together. So the deal is, can we disclose who all's coming and everything? I don't know. This is kind of your deal, so you tell me.
No, you can go right ahead, man.
Okay, so we have, and you correct me where I'm wrong, again, because this is kind of your deal. You've put this together, which thank you for putting this together. It's very cool. So Ben's coming down to East Texas. Luke Duncan's coming. Oh, Luke Duncan on Pandora Radio, Mr. Country Singer, he's coming. And Darian is fishing. He's from Lake Guntersville, right? I believe.
Yes, sir.
Darian's fishing from. They're all coming to East Texas, and then we've got some guys from Sixth Sense Fishing. Who's coming from Sixth Sense? Do you know?
Yeah, my buddy Zach.
Okay.
He's from Iowa. I just got him a job with Sixth Sense. He's got a real good job with Sixth Sense now. He's killing the game down there.
Yeah, I just talked to him on the phone this week.
Yeah, man. Zach's a real deal. Hopefully that went well for you. But,
Yeah,
Yeah, him and Travis from Sixth Sense are coming.
Okay.
Gonna be badass, man. I'm so excited for it.
There's going to be a lot of fishing experience, a lot of guys that spend a lot of time on the water. There's going to be a lot of cameras, and there's probably going to be a hijinks or two if I was a betting man.
I would assume so.
There
definitely.
Might be a couple of pranks pulled or something like that.
Dude, we got like a place, and I didn't tell you, I know you live there, but you're welcome to come stay there too. It sleeps like 8 people, but we're staying in this B&B that's on a damn pond.
Yeah. I got your text about a stocked pond being there, and I was already going to ask you. I just haven't yet. So.
No, you're in.
I'm in.
So I can't imagine what kind of shenanigans between fishing will go on.
Yes, it will be a good time. And that's going to be a lot of content that's going to be coming out on all those channels, on Luke's channel, on your channel. So we got Milliken Fishing, the Traveling Circus. Is that Luke Duncan's channel name?
Yes, sir. I believe so.
So you got Darian is Fishing, Milliken Fishing, Traveling Circus, and of course your Lake Fork Guide, my channel. All of those channels are going to be airing content from this collaborative trip from 4 weird dudes that are really crazy about fishing, man. It's going to be so much fun.
Absolutely. And we got some cool stuff coming too. We're probably going to be Zach and Travis are going to be bringing up some baits that we've never seen before. We got some subscription box baits, stuff like that.
Yes.
I've already got some ideas for some challenge videos between all of us. We can do little inter-tournament type situations for 3 or 4 hours, stuff like that. Basically show the MLF tour how it should be done.
Yes, that is exactly what's about to happen next week in East Texas. Hey, and I appreciate you bringing all these guys down here, man. We're gonna have a good time. You know, we're blessed out here. You've been down here. We spent some time together, and you've been down here on your own, and so you know. We've got a lot of water. We got a lot of lakes around here that will keep it fresh and keep it fun for us. So this can be a tough time of year sometimes, but with this group, we'll figure it out, and we'll find some fish, and it should be some really, really good content for the people that get to view it.
100%, man. I can't wait.
Yes, sir. Me too. Hey, man, I really appreciate you being our first guest on our first episode of this podcast. Can't thank you enough, man. Thank you for everything. You've been a good friend to me over the years, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you this Friday. Y'all be careful coming down here, and we appreciate you, buddy.
I appreciate you guys having me. It really means a lot, seriously, being the first one on this, and let's make this a regular thing. I'd love to come on whenever you guys are willing to have me.
Every single time, whenever you want to, buddy. We really appreciate you for that, man.
We'll see you on a different platform. Let's see you guys on the YouTube here next time your audience hears from me.
That'll work, buddy. Have a good one.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Thanks, Ben. We'll see you. Good dude, man.
Yeah.
That's
Ben is what they call all Sam or awesome. Either way, however you want to say it.
So I would like to close the BPT Bassmaster topic for you. And this is just the way my brain works. So has the sport ever stopped growing since when Bassmaster first came on the scene? Not really.
Yeah.
Has it?
Yeah.
When did it hit its roadblock? You can't say recently.
No, high school fishing has started a growth or a perceived growth. High school fishing and social media have both contributed to greater growth than the industry's ever experienced. That's no doubt about that. Not recently. No, if there was a stale time in fishing where it really wasn't growing, I would say
the mid-2000s at most.
Well, I think it did good then. I think the 90s weren't, like it grew some then, but it was kind of flat.
So
certainly wasn't a mainstream deal by any means.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot more mainstream now than it used to be. Like, dude, that is one thing about it. You can't argue with the MLF. Like, that stinking tournament, that Bass Pro Tour tournament just aired on CBS on the weekend the other day.
No, I get it.
Like, that's something fishing's never had.
I know, and I get what it is and everything, and I get the whole monetary side of it for all the anglers involved, and that's a great deal. And again...
So, let's do that. And I want, obviously, man, bro, I want you to say whatever you want to say. But I just know how in-depth this topic is, and let's do this. Like, because we need to do this. It's what's going on in our world. So let's do the BASS, BPT. Let's do the whole story, dig into it for the people. But we can't do that on this podcast.
Yeah, we don't have enough time.
No.
Yeah. Not enough time. Just period.
So, for tonight, stay tuned, folks. Come back next week. We'll dig into all the drama that is the reality show known as Professional Fishing in 2019/20.
We call it a cliffhanger. All right, Billy. Let me ask you now. If you could bring back a hairstyle, what would it be?
If I could bring back a hairstyle? I could go both ways here. There's two that I could go with. Obviously, a mullet. Which is kind of back.
You hear that?
I want my mullet. What are you doing?
Is Ronnie outside?
Is Ronnie outside? Yeah,
Captain's here.
Captain's about to come beating down the garage door. Captain loves the mullet too. I would bring back the mullet, and I do see a lot of young people rocking the mullet these days. But also, man, I like the mohawk. And I'm not talking about like the punk rock spike it up mohawk.
Like the Chuck Liddell mohawk.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that haircut.
Yeah, that's a good
Like if I was still like 19 or 20 and like, feeling myself a little bit more than I do now because I can look in the mirror and I'm fat and ugly and I know that now, but I didn't then because I was just somehow like my mirrors did not work the same. The technology in mirrors has changed since I was 19, I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look nothing like it did. I do not see myself the same at all. But if I still did see myself like I did when I was 19, I would love to have one of them kind of crew cut mohawks, man. I think that's pretty bad to the bone look.
All I'm saying is, if you really want to fish a point, you see a guy fishing that point with the Chuck Liddell mohawk, you're probably going to pick a different point.
If he's up there throwing a swim bait and a Chuck Liddell, dude, you're out, bro. Like, he's going to chokehold you.
Kind of like that SpongeBob meme. All right, I'm going to head out.
Yeah, I go. See you. So now... you've got to have. You're coming up with this question, so I know you've thought of it. So, what is your haircut that you bring back?
So, the mullet is obviously. I mean, that's going to be an every 20-year thing. It's going to come back.
Cycle.
It's inevitable. But you remember just the bumper?
The bumper?
Yeah.
Talk to me.
So what you do is you basically get you some pomade, if you will, some hairspray, some gel, and you smooth it down, and then you take you a comb and you just give it a little swish. In the front?
Oh, like...
the whole bumper.
So you go this way and then it has like the little...
Yeah, just a little... called the wave, the bumper. Yeah.
That's how I used to do my hair.
Yeah, I did too.
That's how I did my hair.
Yeah. I had a chilli bowl. I never had a mullet,
Did you have a chili bowl?
I did have a chilli bowl. I had it for one haircut, and I remember coming home because I was at my dad's house for that particular weekend, and Mom had told Dad, you got to get the boys a haircut. And I told Dad, I said, Mom said it's okay. She hated the chili bowl. Couldn't stand it.
So...
showed up at my mom's house with the chili bowl. Didn't have it for a week. Ended up shaving it. But that week at school, your boy was walking with his chest out just a little bit. Yeah, y'all see me?
Yeah.
5th grader with a chili bowl.
So this last summer, I have 2 boys, 2 sons. You know them well. Mm-hmm. But the youngest one, and you know this, he's got a little more pep in his step.
A little more fire.
The older one, he's real laid back. He's smart. He's a great kid. Mm-hmm. Both my kids are great kids. They really well behaved. They never get in trouble at school. They're both. I'm very fortunate to have very good kids. But that younger one, like he's real well behaved at school and stuff. Like for everybody else, he acts real good.
Yeah.
But when you get him like comfortable in his house, you know.
floodgates.
Like, he's kind of hell on wheels.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we gave him, and he wanted it. We gave him that Chuck Liddell Mohawk this summer. He rocked that thing all summer long,
that.
dude. He was ready to go. I told him it made him run faster and jump higher and all that too.
I bet he felt cool as a cucumber.
He did. He loved it. It was a lot of fun watching him run around with that Mohawk.
Karaoke. What's your go-to song?
First of all of them. Because if you can sing the phone book and it's gonna sound good. And I can sing.
I mean, I've been witness.
When I hear myself, it sounds great. I've got mixed reviews from others.
Yeah.
Mixed reviews at best from
I think
others.
I sound wonderful.
But to me, it sounds awesome. I'm rocking out. Well, I'm getting it.
I'm all in.
Go-to karaoke song for me, just because I grew up on them and my natural voice lends myself more to them, it would be definitely older country. I could go David Allen Coe, You Never Call Me By My Name. Mm-hmm. Another one that I have sang many times at karaoke is Hank Williams Jr., Why Do You Drink?
That's a good one.
To get drunk. Why do you roll? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And no, I will not be singing on this podcast because I will have to be drunk to sing, and I'm not getting drunk before I go fishing tomorrow.
Right.
It's not that I don't want to get drunk. I don't want to be hungover when I go fishing in the morning.
Yeah. Fishing all day is tough enough on your body.
You just got to get used to it, bud.
You had a hangover on top of that, yeah. Yeah, I'm in a bad way.
Yeah.
All right.
So have you ever done karaoke in a legit public bar? Have you done it?
Yes.
Okay, talk to me. What's your go-to?
You ready for this?
Is that the song?
No. No. My go-to karaoke song, believe it or not, is the Hanukkah song by Adam Sandler.
The Hanukkah song? Oh, boy, I got to get you to a karaoke bar. I got to hear this.
I heard that Green Acres does open mic night every Fridays. So.
Well, Green Acres, you've got a storm coming your way come Friday.
We can go bowling, and then we can go do open mic night.
You're going to have a storm coming your way, Green Acres.
Yeah, there were people walking in going, Adam Sandler's here? That was my karaoke.
Yeah.
That people thought Adam Sandler was there. It was the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah. Celebrity appearance down at the Green Acres in T-Town.
Come on if you're coming.
Tyler, Texas, folks.
All right, Billy.
Where it goes down.
All right, Billy. So, similar, along the same lines.
What's the next question going to be? This one, I have no idea.
So, if you were a DJ, what would your DJ name be?
I have put zero thought into this. What would my DJ name be? Off the top of my head, DJ Bucket Lip.
DJ Bucket Lip. Okay.
I'm just going with the fishing thing.
Yeah, I like it.
There's zero chance I will ever be a DJ. Like, that's not happening. Out of all the things I might end up doing, there's some weird ones out there.
Can't never could.
But a DJ is like below all of them.
Can't never could.
Yeah, can't never could do nothing. That's right. Mm-mm. All right, what is that? Your DJ name?
No.
Can't never could. DJ can't never could.
Now my DJ name would be DJ Crazy Cuts.
Crazy Cuts.
Yeah.
That you've put some thought into this. Like, that's a legit DJ name that would be like good.
Well, my best pitch when I was playing baseball was a cutter. DJ Crazy Cuts.
And it works for cutting the ones and twos, you know? Like, I can tell you've thought about that. Do you have like a fantasy where you're a DJ? Is it like a thing for you?
No, but I do play on GarageBand sometimes on my phone. Dude, I'll be in there mixing it up. Yeah, hook up to the Bluetooth speaker, get yelled at, turn it down, go to bed.
Yeah, that's right. Hey. Shut up.
All right, so next question, a little bit more serious note.
This going?
A little bit more serious note.
Listen, as we like to do around here, we have completely gone off the rails at this point.
Yeah, we let the bumpers down at Green Acres.
It's my favorite part when we get off the rails.
Gutter ball.
I love chaos, baby. Let's go. Where are we at now?
If you could rename Lake Fork, what would your name for it be? And you cannot use Goat Lake.
No. That's not fair because I already have. Renamed Lake Fork.
But I know, but I already knew that would be your name for it.
There's guys that hate my guts that fish Lake Fork every day because if you don't know, the fishing world lends itself to a little bit of drama. It's no different on Lake Fork. You got a community of like more guides on Lake Fork, tons of guides on Lake Fork, and yeah, there's drama within that. There always has been. But somehow, because I use social media more, I've become more dramatic than everybody. But there's guys that hate my guts Then in their social media posts, use Goat Lake, and I get a kick out of it every time I see it when it's because I started it. Right?
I mean, it is the Goat Lake. Yes. Yeah.
I started calling Lake Fork the Goat Lake because it's the greatest trophy bass lake of all time. Looking at the data, any way you want to measure it, Lake Fork is the greatest trophy bass lake of all time. And I started that saying a couple years ago or whatever it was, and now there's guys that won't even look me in the eye in the marina that use that on their social media posts, which I find hilarious.
I know what you mean.
I get a kick out of that every time I see it.
I mean,
I'm not use it away. I'm not mad at them.
You're human. I mean, come on.
It's just funny.
It is funny.
It is funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I were,
do I have to come up with another name than Goat Lake? Is that what we're doing?
I knew that's what you were going to say.
Of course I was.
But, you know, if you had another one that kind of comes to mind, that's fine. If not, I understand.
Oh, Lake Donk Donk.
Donk Donk. Okay.
Lake Donk Donk. Lake Donkadonk. That's what we're going with. Lake Donkadonk. That's my new name for Lake Fork. Hey, your Lake Donkadonk guide coming at you. I'm in.
Hey.
I like it.
Cut, roll.
Yeah. All right, so what's your name for Lake Fork?
So this is obviously...
Could be Lake Drama after what we just talked about.
My honest... If I were to rename Lake Fork, I'd name it Lake Whoa.
Like, whoa.
Whoa.
Do you remember that old rap song? Da-da-da-da-da. Like, whoa.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know any of the other words other than like, whoa.
Yeah.
Who knows words to rap songs?
I mean...
Let's dive into this. What type of person, like, who are the people that actually know all the lyrics to rap songs? Because it's not me and it's not you.
Free guide trip to anybody that can sing an entire Busta Rhymes song and get the lyrics right. I'm just saying.
He's not even the guide,
Fair.
but I'm in.
Fair.
If you can sing the entire, any Busta Rhymes song, start to finish.
Without looking at your phone.
One take, no cuts.
Correct.
Free guide trip. And you can text the video of you doing it to the number on the screen right now, 903-519-1542. That's the Your Lake Fork Guide, Big Bass hotline right there. If you can sing an entire Busta Rhymes song, start to finish, no cuts, without looking at lyrics, you get a free guide trip.
You also have to do it at the same tempo of the song.
Yeah, no, it's got to be on rhythm.
Yeah.
It's got to be on, yeah.
Play an instrument on the back, something.
And that's totally up to our judgment. So
yeah. Viewer discretion advised.
Viewer discretion is, we should start putting that on every video we make.
100%.
Especially on these podcasts. Viewer discretion advised. This is going to suck.
Yeah. I mean, the whole purpose of this podcast, guys, is, you know, we like to get a little loose.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of times I'm guilty of it. I know Billy, as much as he's on the water, he's got to be guilty of it. We get so balled up because in our own stress. Because you always want to catch more and bigger fish.
Yeah.
When you're not catching them, you're wondering what you're doing wrong. Is it the color? Is it the light? Guys, calm down. It's a bass.
That was one of the great things that we had going for us as fishing buddies is we kept each other loose.
Yes.
You know, we really did. We've made up rap songs.
Yes. Country songs.
We've made up lyrics to fishing songs and started singing them all day. We were really good at cutting up and joking around and keeping each other loose. I can tell you, you know, through the guiding over the years now, like, that's one of the things that I've really had to work on is, you know, I have to be calm and, you know, professional. So that's a debatable term. Like, it depends on your definition of professional and the way I act, because it's not real. It's pretty relaxed. But I have to stay, you know, relaxed, calm, as far as the customer sees it. I can't let him know that I'm freaking out because we ain't got a bite in 2 hours.
Right.
But I can tell you inside my head that hamster is like burning the bearings out that wheel, Jack. You know what I mean? And nobody wants you to catch them more than the guide that you've hired.
Correct.
But as long as you've hired a good guy, which we've got, even the ones that don't like me, we've got a bunch of good guides on Lake Fork. There is not a crop of bass fishing guides on planet Earth that can hang with that group that goes to Lake Fork every day.
100%.
It is unbelievable the amount of fishing ability and experience and talent and all that exists there. And any of those guys that you hire, there's nobody on earth that wants you to catch fish more than they do.
I mean, there's a reason there's a guides tournament on Lake Fork. I mean, there's a lot of other lakes where people guide.
Yeah.
And I ain't heard nothing like that.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, man. There's a lot of ability that goes to Lake Fork every day. It's really incredible. I'll tell you what, and like I said, there's so many good guides. And, you know, I've always been this way. And I don't know, you know, we all want to grow our business and we all want our business to prosper and all that. And I get that. And I don't know a whole lot of other guys that are this way, but their customers will get my boat. They'll tell you. I will literally tell them, yeah, you need to go fish with that guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, yes, you should fish with X, Y, and Z. And you know, like there's a lot of times where they'll start talking about a certain technique.
Right.
And I may know a guy that's better at that technique than me, and I'll be like, oh, yeah, you know, you need to book this guy. Because it's an unbelievable source of knowledge and talent. And at the end of the day, like I always say, man, my deal is I want to help people catch more and bigger fish to the best of my ability. And sometimes that means I need to send them to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, all the time. People call for trips.
And we do. People will call for trips, and we will send them to many different guides. We work with several guides across the lake, and we pretty much got any want, need, desire you want out of a bass fishing trip, we got it covered with the guys that we work with and send trips to. And so, yeah, on a shameless plug note here at the end of the deal here, we're kind of getting close to the end, but at yourlakefortguide.com, or if you message me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, if you need a guide trip on Lake Fork, we would love to help you. And not necessarily help you get in my boat. Now, if you want to be in my boat, we want you in my boat. We'll facilitate that as well. But whatever it is that you're wanting to get out of a guide trip, we pride ourselves on being able to help you out in that way and get you with the guy that'll best suit those needs. That's really what we want to do.
Yep.
And Chris helps me a lot on that. So, what else we got, man?
Man, pretty solid first episode, I think.
I know this, and this is the most important part to me. I had fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's always fun.
It was fun making it. It's always fun talking about fishing. It was fun hanging out with you. We're good buddies. Ben Milliken. God, that was an awesome phone call.
Dude.
Great phone call.
It's not many times you get to talk to a guy like that on the phone for 30 minutes.
And I don't know that people understand what level he's on.
Like he's like a level above that level.
Yeah, like people don't understand that because it's not on television, it's on YouTube. I think sometimes some of the traditionalists don't take it as serious. Let me go on and explain something to you right now. That guy that we talked to on the phone has every bit as much professional abilities in this industry as most of the guys that you watch fish on TV in the tournaments.
Correct.
He's got as much sales ability, marketing platform, financial ability through what he's doing. Like, he's a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
In the world of fishing.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of, several of these YouTubers now that, man, they've taken things to a whole new level. And when you talk about growing the sport and exposure, we can talk about high school fishing. We can talk about all that. Ain't nobody exposing the sport and getting people fired up about the sport on the level that some of these YouTube guys are.
No, it's not even close. I mean, you just look at some of the views that some of these videos get.
And when I say YouTube, I'm not talking about me.
No, I know what you're talking about.
We're a small channel, and I'm primarily a fishing guy.
I know what you're getting at.
It's a different deal. So please don't say I'm thinking, hey, all YouTubers are bigger than tournament fishing. That's not what I'm saying. But there's some.
Yeah.
There are some that are bigger than the tournament fishing.
I mean, you just talk about several million views on one video. One video.
Yeah, it does happen. Well, and the consistency, right? Like,
there's football games that don't get that.
I don't know Ben's view count, but I know his subscriber count, and I do see some views, and he's got a ton of videos out there now, hundreds of them. And I know how this works, because I know now I've got hundreds of videos out, and those back videos still getting views.
Yeah.
And then you're piling the new views on top of it. Mm-hmm. And what I know is that you're getting, a guy like Ben, I don't know, it's hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million views every week. Every week, 52 weeks a year, Jack. Hey, has the Bassmaster Classic ever been viewed by 50 million people?
No.
Has all Bassmaster episodes for 1 year been viewed by 50 million people?
And that's my entire point.
No. This is a bigger deal and more exposure than our sport has ever had. Mm-hmm. What's going on with these big-time YouTube fishing channels? It's a really big deal.
All the social media capabilities are incredible.
So, congrats to Ben, and thanks to Ben for coming on tonight. It was, it's not a big deal between me and him because we're buddies.
Yeah.
And we've known each other for years now. We fished together. Helped I've tried to help him. He's tried to help me, like, as far as the fishing deal goes. And so we have a relationship, so it's not a big deal. But it's a big deal for me to have him come on our podcast.
Right.
I'm very grateful for that to Ben, and I know you are as well. And hopefully the viewers are, because he has a lot of interesting perspective from what he's been able to accomplish. And I really, he had some cool stuff to say tonight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was a lot of fun talking to him. So yeah, man. Hope everybody enjoyed the first episode. Hey, please do drop the comments. Let us know how bad we do suck. Because listen, we're aware that we kind of suck at this podcasting deal, but we need to know how we suck so that we can try to get better. Because we might suck, but we will attempt to get better at it, will we not?
That's right. And any topics that you want to hear talked about on the podcast, feel free to drop those below as well.
Go on ahead. We'll put the phone number up one more time, 903-519-1542. If you have something that you want to address on the show, a topic you want, you can text that phone number, and every single text will be answered.
Correct.
Every text that you get, that we get, that you send, we will address and answer those to the best of our abilities, our limited abilities on the show.
Yep, and in future episodes too, what we'll try and do is we'll get some contests together, and we'll explain those more in the future, but just to get you guys more involved so that way, this show's for y'all. We have a great time.
Basically, this show sucks so bad, we're going to have to give you stuff to make you listen to it. That's what we're saying. Is that what we're saying? That's what we're saying.
I mean, if it uses a litter box, it's probably a cat.
If it uses a litter box, it's probably a cat. Son, you're a cat. You guys are awesome, man. Y'all rock. Thank you so much for listening to episode 1.2 or 2.1. I don't know. I didn't go to... I'm a fishing guy, not a math major. What are we calling this?
Well, it's season 1, episode 1 of the revamped.
The revamped. The podcast's so nice, we had to start it twice.
That's right.
I don't know what it is. It's episode 1 of the Fish Lyfe podcast. We appreciate you guys listening. Hey, we do want to thank all our sponsors before we get out of here. 6 Cents Fishing helps us do everything we do every day. Smash Tech Baits as well. Lou's Fishing through their reels and everything. They give us Skeeter Boats, Nautical Mile Marine. All these guys come together to help us put together what we do, whether it's guide trips, video content, podcast. We couldn't do any of it without them, just like we couldn't do any of it without each and every one of you that's listening and watching right now. So we are really, really grateful around here. That's one thing for sure. We will not forget that it is you all and the team that backs us that makes this happen. So thank all of y'all.
Yes, thank y'all.
All right, Chris, you got any kind of signature wrap-up move that you've worked out here? We don't really work out anything. We just kind of wing it.
Well, I was going to do a backflip, but I ain't got enough room.
Son, you ain't got enough flexibility. You ain't got enough dexterity. You ain't got enough strength. You ain't got enough balls, if we're being honest, to do a backflip right now.
You're right.
Yeah, that's right. That sounds like a good outro. We'll see you next time right here on the Fish Lyfe podcast.
Holla.
Cue dope beats. Or country music, because that's what we listen to.